Well, good day, mates. If I could get a audio and visual check, I'd appreciate it. Outside and aquatics. Hello. Let's see. Scroll back up. Cosm, welcome. Okay, do we have to talk about Gardneri? Yeah, we'll talk about some other stuff first. I got a few things going on that we need to talk about here, but thanks for joining us. So, what happens if a frog parks illegally? It gets towed. All right, so I got a bunch of things been going on with me. Wait till a few other people here join. I only got three, it looks like right now. Um, if you look behind me, I still got the rack I'm still working on. Still got two empty slots right here and right here. I do have a tank there, but that's going to be, I'll probably use that tank. I usually have a 5 gallon that I take to different events with me to use for displays. I'll put a bunch of fish in there. I'll put some community fish in there and some killifish in there to kind of show people that, yeah, you can usually keep them in a community tank. Those actually work, so that's kind of cool. But I'm thinking about this next shows I'm going to do. I might uh, go and uh, just build a little rack with 2.5 gallon aquariums, just a bunch of 2.5, because killifish don't take up much room. And I think it'd be kind of cool to maybe do like four 2.5 gallon aquariums and make a little rack system and put them on my table and have little backgrounds and put little plants in there, make it look cool, and display some of the killifish that I have for sale. The adults. I think that might be really cool. Let's see if anybody else came in. It looks like Shady Grady. How you doing? Maybe I'll be all good. That's good. Very cool. So I think that's might be what I'm doing. There's still, I'm still debating if I should go to Aquashella and vend there. It's pretty expensive tables, but I could probably make some money and really uh, do some good with the killifish, or go to the AKA National Convention in Florida. I have a family that's about an hour and a half south of that area, so might have a chance to visit them too. I don't know how that would work out. Let me see something popped up. I got 7 pairs of ribless Euro flamerus. Man, I don't know how to pronounce that right, but this week I've never heard of them. No, I haven't. I heard rivolus, but I've not heard of that species before. I might have to look that up later. That sounds pretty cool. Where did you get those at? Was it at one of the conventions, or was it just online? Because I haven't seen it. It's something that's not going to be normally available, especially at like an LFS. Oh, speaking about a local fish store here, man, I went up to the fish place here in Fort Worth. It's kind of the closest decent pet store. In fact, it's really the closest, probably is the closest LFS to me. Yeah, I think so. But went up there just take a look around what they had, and man, I noticed Niger the black pearl killifish. I've been looking for those for a long time, and I walked around the corner and I saw the male sitting in the tank. I'm like, nah, it's got to be something similar. Not can't be that. I looked at the tag on right on the tank, and that's what it said it was. It said it was a pair. So I'm looking around, I can't find the female, and I was like, there's a bunch of decorations and stuff. And I was like, man, she's got to be back in the back. But it was kind of expensive. They're like $40, I think, $40 or $45. They wanted for a pair. But by the time, if I buy them somewhere else, I can get them other places. Like Dan's Fish, I think, had them for a while, maybe a Wet Spot. By the time I ship them, it's going to be that much or more. So I was like, man, okay. So I went and got somebody, had them take a look, and they were looking through the tank trying to find it. Yeah, but then we found it. Unfortunately, she's floating at the top. I was like, oh, man, that sucks. So, oh well. Uh, and just by coincidence, I decided to hit another LFS in the area, but they usually don't carry stuff like that. But I thought, well, maybe they're on some kind of list or something. They popped up, and maybe they'll have some. So I drove over to that store. I was kind of goofing around in there. I was like, what am I doing? I got stuff I got to do at home. I didn't be screwing around all day. Wife was gone. I'll tell you what she was doing here in a minute. So I got in the car, looked at my phone, and on our Facebook chat group, one of my friends had a trailer pop off. I was like, oh man. So I was like, where are you at? And come to find out, he's like 2 miles from me, of all places. I mean, we don't, neither one of us should have been in that area, really, except for he had stuff going on I didn't know about, and I was doing stuff he didn't know about. So I was able to go over and help him out and get him going. And uh, I a Home Depot gave him a couple pallets of bird seed for their rescue, and they could definitely use all that with all the birds and stuff they get in. So he was taking a trailer up there, so I had to help load and unload unload the pallets and load it back up. So that was good. I'm glad I was in his area. At my local swap meet. Oh, shit, great! At my local swap meet this weekend. Oh man, that's pretty cool. Local club swap, huh? Where you? What state are you in? I don't even know exactly the address or anything like that. Hey, Silver Creek. Hey, thanks for joining me, man. Thanks for helping all the Vampire Fry. Yeah, okay. Oh, that was you. I didn't realize that was you. Now I know inside, outside in aquatics is you. Okay, I can put two and two together. Cool. Yeah, man, that'd be cool if those are lamp I think they probably are, but I don't want to say it for sure because it's hard to tell. Jeff Kane, hey, welcome, man. Thanks for joining us. So my wife and his wife were both out at a educational event, and what they were doing. Let me see if I can pull this up. I'll share my screen. They were doing an introduction to wildlife rehab, but Brandy, my wife, was on the left, and Brandy's on the right. Brandy's the one. She's been doing this for quite a while. I don't know, 17, 18 years or so, maybe longer. She's a vet tech for a while and things. So she really knows her way around what's going on. So she was up there with my wife and another friend of ours, Amethyst, and they were going through this class together. And Brandy wanted to be there to help them out and make sure everything went really smoothly. So there's kind of a photo of my wife basically showing them how to tube feed a hawk. Now, this hawk is a special hawk because it's been dead. They use the dead cadavers, so people learning or new to this whole thing don't end up killing anything or hurting anything. So I think it's a really good use for them for sure. Fish farm link. Hello. See anybody else join in here? Why is this thing doing this? Oh, I see. It's just kind of scrunched down weird. uh, Pop-up streamers are trying to make me go more insane. Yeah, you're like everywhere. I need to figure out how to make some mods because I don't know how to make mods while I'm streaming. I need to figure that out. It's not a big deal right now because I don't have a ton of people in here. I think it'll be all right. Fish should be 39. Person turquoise waving. Oh, it must have been a icon or something I can't see. So hi, everybody. We are proud. We are part of a 5 club group that was swaps. That has swaps and auctions a couple times a month. It's awesome. Yeah, man, you live in a great area then, wherever that's at. Dang, did I miss where you said you were at? Let's see. Boston area. Oh, man, yeah. I grew up in Southwest Pennsylvania. So that's in the same region. Still a long way away. It's not like I could drove up there, and hit a swap meet. But we our local club is starting to get a little bit better organized. They're starting to do some um, the BAP and the HAP program. So basically the horticulturist um award program and the breeder award program for one's for fish and one's for the plants. So I might start participating in that. It could be fun. Oh, in fact, thinking about breeding tonight, I popped some eggs out of a brand new species that I have not done before. So that's a brand new species for me. It's pretty cool. It's Epiplades lamontii. Man, lamontii are so beautiful fish. I'm so happy. I got some eggs early on when they're small. I knew they weren't going to be fertile. As soon as touching them, they just kind of popped. But tonight I got 2 eggs, and both of them seem to be good. But with young fish, you never know. So we'll see what's going to happen. I don't know if they'll survive or not. But we'll see. That's pretty cool. I like getting new fish, man. It's like you did something right, which is pretty cool. I'm looking through something here. Okay, and I had something. Let's see, okay, what does he wrote? Oh, you can make them on the replay as long as you can see the chat. Click on the 3 dots by the name. Oh, and the options pop up. Very cool. Okay. Hello, Skitty. How you doing? So we're talking about breeding stuff. I had something really cool. I have Dei, the Aplochilus Dei. that I got some imports. Got two pair of imports from Sarah with the American Killifish Association. She imported them in, so I ended up getting two pair from her, and been breeding those. They've been popping out babies, and I've been growing them up. And yesterday, see, I thought I saw this before, but yesterday I really took more notice. That I noticed that one of them, like there was a black fish in these. They're usually a very light colored fish, and they're really beautiful. They're very light colored. Well, this thing was almost black, like a little black fish one. I was like, man, something must have got in there. I wonder what happened. Did something jumped in the tank, jumped from one tank to the other? But even though I'm closed, when I feed, I have the tops off sometimes. Maybe something jumped or something during the eggs transfer or something weird. I didn't know. So I fished it out of there, put it in their container, and I was like, wait a second, holy cow, that's a day eye, but it's like melanistic looking. It's got red. It's got like red on its face. Here, I'll show you. I took a picture. It's not a very great picture, but it's a picture. See what I'm talking about? Check that thing out. That is not even close to what a day eye is supposed to look like. That would have been helpful if I'd had a picture of a regular day eye up to show you what they look like. Same body shape, same finnage. Like you'll see these little marks in the fins here. The same exact finnage here, but this color is way different. I mean, this is almost a blackfish compared to a day eye. It's really cool in the eyes. I thought, man, there's something wrong with this thing's eye. When it turned around, the other eye looks just like that. It's got these cool reds on the front of its face. So I think I've got a breeding project here. So I'm going to how do you miss Sarah? Oh, she in here? Anyhow, so I might pull them out. So I definitely kept it separated. I'm gonna grow it up, and I don't really know if it's a male or female. Looking at that, I don't know. It's a weird coloration. Normally, the day eye, one sex has big bands on it, and the other one has dots or nothing on the side. I think it's the males have that in the bands, and the females have bands. So, and they're little. They all kind of look the same. They're all banded, so you can't really tell until they start getting bigger. Then you'll see the banding will start kind of like fading away. Uh, as to feed fish. Oh, but still was okay, Jeff. No problem. Uh, Melanistic day. That's the only thing that I can think of it. That's what it looks like. It's a really cool looking fish. I can't wait till it gets bigger to really tell what it looks like. So I think this will be interesting. It's me. I'm Sarah. Oh, I'm Sarah as well. Oh, Skitty. That's why you're saying Sarah. I was mentioning Sarah with the AKA. I thought he was talking about her. I got all confused. But okay. I don't know. I think I'm sorted out now. There's another picture from the other side. But man, that thing is just cool looking. I can't wait to get that, kind of get that thing going. That'll be cool. So that's one of the things I definitely got going. It's going to take me a little while to grow that thing up, and then of course I've got to grow it up. Maybe I'm going to keep an eye on, so maybe I'll have some more hatch out. But I've got quite a few of them hatched out right now that are ready. Most of them are ready to breed and ready to sell. There's probably that one tank that this came out of. There's probably 10 to 12 pair in there. And then I have another tank sitting over here that's probably got just about as many there too. And I've got some more down that are growing up. So I'm definitely going to keep an eye out. I'm going to try breeding the heck out of those and see what happens. Jay says, I raised them by the Levante and they are amazing and very colorful. Yeah. Mine are just starting to color up and it gets really, they're colored up, but I mean, they're really getting their nice colors in. And it's already dropping eggs. So I'm like, oh man, this is going to be really cool. So kind of proud of my wife. And of course, my wife was taking too. So it was like a real college course. This was not a simple class. It was a 2-day course. They had homework to do before they showed up. They had some all kind of questions and stuff they had to fill out and get that turned in supposed to be before the class. They were running behind just a little bit, but most people got turned in. She had to do all kind of conversions and then trying to figure out how much fluids to give an animal if it's injured or if it's basically leaking fluids somehow, and if it's already dehydrated, trying to figure out how much daily fluids stuff to give it and how to give it to them. And there's just a ton of stuff they went through, so it's pretty cool. So I'm hoping she'll teach me some of that. Some of the books she got like 2 big books like this thick. I was like, holy cow! Just on one weekend, you can't really go through that very much. So I was kind of thumbing through it, and yeah, it's a pretty intensive deal. So that's gonna be a lot of good stuff. Hey, uh, Tommy, this is for you. I don't know if anybody else is on here that's in this area, but if anybody catches on the replay before this weekend, if you're available Sunday, stop by the Fort Worth Stock Show and Rodeo. We will be out there, and me and some of our friends will have a reptile display out there again. It's not going to be huge like the Fort Worth Nature Center, but we'll be out there. We'll probably have 4 tables or so set up. So if you're in the area, need to kill some time, stop by and say hi. It'll be a lot of fun. You know how those go. You've been to one of those before, not this big one. This place is a madhouse. If it looks like the weather's going to be decent, it should be packed. I mean, man, it normally is like two or three, four people deep waiting to come up to see our display and talk to us and stuff. We have some of the biggest display out there, probably the most animals of anybody. So awesomely cool. They have deep blue lips and purple bodies. Yep. Uh, and I did, right now I'm still contemplating on those black pearl killifish. Man, the wet spot has a pair. Well, they have more than one pair. They have several, but they have pairs for I think it's $30 a pair. But then shipping's pretty high. So if I got two pairs and to ship it, it was like $99. I was like, I want to spend $100 on two pair of fish. I was like, man, that's quite a bit for me. Somebody's got to have those available. Even though I've been looking for them for a long time, and nobody's. Who said they had them? So we will see what is going on with my mouse. It is going nuts. Hang on here. That was weird. It just started scrolling up on the chat. I didn't do anything. Anyhow, so I don't want to show you. I got something really cool in. This is only reason I even knew about this is from the American Killifish Association, the AKA. This is something that Sarah, um, yes, Cosmin. That's it. Hey Jeff, how you doing? So I got a book, Freshwater Fishes of Cameroon. This is an awesome book. I got a great deal on it because of the AKA, and she ordered a bunch of them, so she got like a bulk price and got the shipping down. Shipping's killer. I think right now I found this book for $230, uh, but I got it for less than half of that. But this thing, I tell you, this is awesome. I mean, check this stuff out. It's gonna be hard to see, but you get an idea of what's in here. And I think there's 350 fish in here, which is pretty massive. And we're lucky because now this book just came yesterday. So I already had the idea of talking about Gardneri long before this, but the book came in and would you know it? Look at what was one of the fishes of Cameroon. We're talking Gardneri. Well, oops, this way. There you go. That's the actual species that I have the most of. And it's one of the first fish that I kept, and that is a Fundulopanchax. Well, it's either Gardneri or nigerincensis. Nigerincensis. Uh, depends on kind of which taxonomy you go by. I've seen it several different ways. I've seen it listed as Fundulopanchax gardneri. Then it's the location is Massage, and then the collection data points are on there. So I'm not sure. And then I've heard it called Gardneri uh, nigerincensis, like a subspecies type of thing, but I don't think that's recognized anymore. So this book does not have it listed as that. So that's what's interesting. This has a Fundulopanchax nigerincensis, uh, nigerinus. I always get that wrong. Uh, and then, so that's like its own species, looks like. So I don't know if it's a species or not. I'm just going to keep it labeled the way it was when I received it. That way I don't mix anything up. So everybody knows exactly what it is. Those are, yeah. They should be fairly common, but nobody seems to have one that I can buy. Uh, I love the killifish. Oh man, yeah. Yeah, she had great, amazing photos. This book is okay. So it's even got plants in here too. And if you go to the front part of it, it starts showing some of the plants. There's a bunch of different authors for the book. It has aquatic plants and lots of information about them, different locations, and it's oh man, I'm gonna be busy for a while looking through this book. So you got the plants, and then if you go right to the middle of it, you got something like this, the biotopes. It's hard for you to see what's going on. Yeah, so you got the biotopes, which is absolutely incredible. Got breaking out. It breaks it down into different types of fish. Tons of cichlidae. There is just a ton of those. It's like half the book is cichlidae, and they have. There's just some crazy stuff. So, but if you go back to the killifish, there's quite a few killifish in Cameroon. So this thing has quite a bit of different killifish. There's some lampreys, and a lot of people like lampreys. For some reason, I just uh, man, I have a hard time with just lampreys. I don't know. They're okay. They're just kind of boring to me mostly. Some of them are kind of cool and almost catch my interest, but for some reason I just not my thing. So no big deal. So let me put that book is so freaking big. I got to move it out of the way here. Wear me out in the book. Okay. So I don't have this laid out really well. I got busy, had ideas and plans, but it doesn't always go the way I planned it. So Gardneri. Let's try to find me a picture. Where all pictures go? Hang on. I'll pull up a picture. There we go. That's a picture, and we'll. So this is what we're talking about. This is a Fundulopanchax Gardneri. Now, Gardneri, there are several different types or locales. There's even subspecies, depending how you break it up. And part of the problem is these haven't been studied really heavily. So that's why we like to keep the location codes with them and the exact location area, that exact collection spot. Because in some other cases that killifish have been found, they went back and they did some genetic research on them and realized that we were calling it one species with just two different locations. What they ended up finding out is it was actually two different species, even though they look virtually identical. They're completely different species because they're separated by different waterways. So it's really good to keep the locale information with the fish. So this one is this is like the first killifish. Well, not the first killifish. I would say it's the first killifish that I bred in numbers to be able to try to sell. Yeah, the cichlids are really cool. I was looking through those and man, that's whew. Um, Jeff goes, names are tough. I wish I could type. I can't type at all. I'm the typo king. That's what kind of known as. But anyhow, so these things are absolutely gorgeous. A lot of the other locales, the information that I've seen is that you have different finnage will be the color on the finnage will be different. Like you won't have like the orange on some of these the fins and some of the other locale information. Some of the spotting will be different on them. This is I think this particular one is the prettiest of them all. That's of course that's completely biased. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So there's another picture of one of mine. And another picture there. These things are just absolutely, and they change color a little bit depending on what background you have them on. Just like a lot of other fish. It just depends on where how your tank's up. You got a dark background, you got dark substrate, you got a lot of cover, a lot of floating plants like thick duckweed or Sylvania minor, which I'm not allowed to even have. So other people love that stuff. Man, I wish I did. I accidentally got some one time. It started growing like crazy. I started looking a little closer. Okay, what is this stuff? And I realized, geez, I can't even have it. I had to destroy it all. It kind of sucked. But anyhow, so if you do that and keep the tank dark, they just darken up, get this really deep, absolutely gorgeous blue color. If you have a tank that doesn't have any backgrounds and you don't have a whole lot of cover, bright lights on, it's really a light colored tank with light substrate. It kind of washes all that blue, goes much lighter color. It's almost fades away. So you can make them almost look black. I've got a 150-gallon aquarium that I've thrown some of my calls into, and those fish turn. I mean, they are like black. They're really dark colored. It's absolutely amazing. Uh, so that's these guys will get. I've had a couple of them get about 3 inches. So that's way bigger than normal. Usually about 2.5 inches is normal size. So they're decent sized fish, but you can keep those in I keep them breed them in a 5 gallon aquarium, a pair. If you were to stick a couple of like you were to stick two males and a female in there, then you might have a problem. The males would battle each other and they would try to attack the female all the time and you'd probably have some dead fish. But if you had a couple of females in there and a male in a 5 gallon, you're fine. Even one male and a female, you're fine. You stick two males in a 5 gallon, you might get some territorial disputes, but there's no female to fight over. So I've seen it kind of like, it's not that bad. Uh, but it's not a great idea. But if you have a bigger tank, if you have right now, I have a 20 gallon tall in the living room that I use for my kind of a demonstration, kind of a pretty tank. So I put three Gardneri in there, two of the Massage, like the ones I was showing you, and one does have up, and the other two, the other one is a Lafia, I think is the local information on it. But this looks a little different. The finish is a little different color, but basically the same fish. And I'm not having any problems. I've got, probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 neon tetras in there. I got 3 or 4 brilliant rasboras. Got a CPD. I've even got some little native darters that I've caught from the stream. Um, I'm trying to think what else I have in there. There's a couple other species of fish. Now I've got some other killifish in there, and everything seems to be doing just fine. I did notice for a while that one of my Gardneri was kind of taking a little territory by some of the plants, and he was guarding that and kind of chasing everything else off, but he wasn't hurting anything. He was just, chasing everything off. His own little territory. So that was pretty cool. So how to breed these? These are a really easy to breed fish. Let's go through here and go back and play a video. So these are some of the babies. Yeah, there goes up. You can tell the males and the females very easily. Any of the fish that go by that don't really have a whole lot of colors on their fins or just kind of a plain color, those are the females. And there's a couple of fish right there right against the camera with the bright fins. Those are the males. Extremely easy to tell apart. And they get colored up pretty small. So these guys are about half size, half their full ground size. So they're really coloring up nicely. There's a lot of fish in there. It's really cool. Um, so the way I breed these, it's pretty simple. Throw a male and female together in a tank. And if you have a lot of plants in the tank, you don't even have to have a ton, I found, but having some plants in there does help. A spawning mop is a great idea. And if you've never seen a spawning mop, let me show you a spawning mop. I have one right, a small one, right over here. These were used at one of the last conventions for the Texas Area Killifish Association. These spawns mops. So these are designed for the little critter carriers. So this is not something you would want to use. This is too small, but there you go. It's like a mini one. Normally they're like double the length. Well, you want it basically so it's laying kind of like this on the bottom of the tank when it's floating. So you want this tall enough that it comes down a little bit of lay on the bottom. That's ideal because some of the fish just tend to like to lay their eggs on the bottom, kind of in the stuff that'll be hanging here, or they'll lay it up through, and you'll find it. At least I found that different pairs will lay eggs in different spots on the mop. I have some pairs lay it everywhere; they don't care. Other ones that'll lay it down here at the bottom. Other ones will lay it get it way up in here. They like get it up tight, really, really, really tight up into that little crevice right there. Let me switch this over. There we go. Okay, so yeah, here's a spawning mop. It's a little small, but and that will get right up into here. You have to really kind of pick it apart trying to find where the eggs are at. So yeah, it's just kind of a small one, but gives you an idea. And all this is yarn. This is the acrylic yarn. You don't want to get anything natural. So you wouldn't want to use cotton yarn or anything like that, because that'll start breaking down your tank and foul your tank up. So you don't want to do that. I have my Gardneri with my wild type beta Felix, and they get along great. Yep, I don't seem to have too much problem. Other people have had problems, of course. You know, fish are like individual animals. I mean, sometimes individuals of different species. There's jerks and there's really nice ones, and so if you just get a jerk fish, it can be any species, and it'll cause terror in your tank. So that can happen. You can just get a jerk. You You just got to take him out. Um, Not a big deal to fix that problem. So put that in the tank, and then the idea is to get good, healthy adults, and you want to feed them a lot of food. And you want to feed them multiple times a day. If you can feed them 3 times a day, that'd be great. But I can usually feed it twice a day, and sometimes I miss a feeding, depending on what's going on in my personal life. But normally I feed them first thing in the morning before I go to work, and I will do. I think I have some up here. I'll show you what I do. Let's see this. I should have had these in front of me. But, so I use bug bites, and I mix it. Bug bites work fine just by itself. These are great, but the particle size is a little too big. And I mix it with the Tetracolor tropical granules because they love to eat this too. So I mix it together, and I come up with something that kind of looks like this. And I normally make it a ratio probably about 30% of the Tetra color granules, and the rest of it is all bug bites. And I just simply stick it into a grinder, and this grinder is really cool because I can adjust the top. It moves, and I can make it coarser or finer, so depending on what I need. And then just by simply turning it, so I've got it set now. Figured out that I can set on the coarsest setting for my adults, and I do one spin of the handle, and that basically doses out the right amount of food for that tank for all the adults. Almost for all my adult killifish. I have a couple that I need an extra half a crank or a full crank for, depending on what species it is. Things like I've got Fundulopanchax, Galaris. They're bigger fish, and Fundulopanchax Spore and Burger Eye are a little bigger too. They usually take an extra turn, and things like what else? The Apocalypse Dei, the adults, they take an extra half a turn or turn because they just they eat a lot of food. They seem to have a big appetite. Hello, Craig's Catfish, Dave. Welcome. And so that's how I feed. So that's the morning feeding. So that's what I do for the morning, and then when I'll do that in the evening too. If I'm in a hurry, we're going to have to go do something after I get home from work, and I just want to get some food in there really fast. I'll do the same thing. I'll just run around and feed all the adults and all the bigger juveniles. That use that little thing right there and go. So it's pretty quick. Now, if in the evenings I have a little more time, what I'll do is I'll thaw out baby brine shrimp and bloodworms, and just kind of a mixture of that. And I'll thaw that out, and I'll stick it in a pipette, and then just squirt that in each tank in the evenings. As far as the smaller fry, if I've got some really small stuff and I'm in a hurry, I could take that same mix that I had and I stick it into a coffee grinder, turn it into a super fine powder. If you saw one of the last live streams, you'll see where I put that under a microscope and compared it to some other foods, and it's actually pretty good. It gets small enough that a really really small fry can eat it, if they will. They might not. So things like microworms and vinegar ale sometimes can help. But the Gardneri are generally big enough right out of the bat. They can eat the baby brine shrimp. So the new hatchlings and everything up to really up to almost adult size eats baby brine shrimp if I want to. But that's if I have a new fry, I hit them with baby brine shrimp twice, 2 to 3 times a day with baby brine shrimp. Um, so that's kind of what I do on those guys. So I watch the adults, if they get the good size, they're getting fat. You can watch the female. She'll blow up. You'll see them get really fat, and you can see the eggs inside of her abdomen if you're really looking closely. So you need to tell when she's kind of ready, and then start pulling on spawning moths. Now, how often you pull them is completely up to you. Some people pull them every week. Some people even pull them every 2 weeks. Some people pull them every other day. And me, I try to pull them every day because I don't want anything getting eaten. I want the maximum amount of fry that I can get out of them. So I will pull the mop out, fold it up, and squeeze it out. You don't have to worry about the eggs breaking because the eggs are solid, firm. They're very firm. You can put them between your fingers, and you have to squeeze and twist a little bit to pop them. I mean, they are if they're fertile, they are firm. So I just go through this, and I'm kind of ADD for some reason. I enjoy picking through a mop and pulling out eggs and putting them in a small container of. So I use a container. This is what I use. This size, if I can. I like to screw on tops because I don't have to disturb the container as much opening and closing them. The pop on tops, you're kind of popping it and jerking things around. The screw ons, you can get those off easier without disturbing it. So I like the screw on style. I fill it halfway full of water with methanol blue. I usually use 2 or 3 drops of methanol blue for a gallon of water. That's the ratio I use. Seems to work. Other people do it a different way. You can even do like hydrogen peroxide to kind of keep the fungus off. But realistically, if I go 2 or 3 days and they don't fungus up, that means they're probably all fertile eggs. And they don't really fungus; they turn white. I've seen fungus eggs, usually like a look like a mini cotton ball. So a lot of mine just turn white, and I know they're not fertile. So I just take a small pipette and suck them out and get rid of those most of the time. Well, not most of the time. Some of the times I do that. If I notice there's a bunch of them in there, I'll suck them out. But I found that they don't. I don't have a problem with that moving on to other eggs. I mean, I have it right against the eggs, and I go, well, let's see what happens. You come back the next day, and they're still there. And eventually, that egg will just kind of dissolve away and be gone. But the other eggs are fine. So I think if your eggs are good and fertile, you don't have to worry about that too much. That's personal opinion. I know that's not the general wisdom on that. So take that with a grain of salt. It's just the way I do it. That's definitely not necessarily the best way. So then I will. And the way I do that is, and on the lids on these, I have a label maker, and I will put the species and the date that I put the first eggs in that cup. And I think then I'll take a Sharpie and write on there how many eggs that I put in that particular container. Then the next day I'll come and pull the mop back out, add more eggs to it, and until the container has about 30 eggs. This is just an arbitrary number that I pick, so there's no science to this. It's just it looked like the right thing to do to me. I look at about the right amount of eggs, and it seems to work. So that's what I do. Pull about 30 eggs in there, and then I stop and I get another container, or about 5 days. Used to do 7 days, but I'm starting to do 5 days now. Pull it for 5 days, and that's it. So what will happen is after 14 days, the first ones will start to hatch, and then every day you'll get more and more hatching. So that's 5 days you've got to wait. So what I have been doing is taking a pipette and sucking out all the babies and putting them in our container with clear water, the little newborn fry, and start feeding them up. I'm starting now to experiment with just putting a little bit of food, usually vinegar eels or microworms, in this container once they start hatching. I've noticed that some of my eggs don't hatch really fast. That they'll go way longer than they should. But if you put some microworms in there, they're kind of on the bottom, squiggling around. A lot of times that aggravates the eggs, and it might be able to get them to hatch faster. It seems to be working, but I have no way to prove that's actually what's going on. So that's just the way I do it. Let's see. Well, it's much easier than grinding it all at once. Yeah, it can be, and I can store it. The original containers, like I buy these big containers here. I'll show you what I buy. This is what I buy for the bug bites. This is a big old giant container. Most people are not going to be able to use that big of a container. But that's about, I don't know, it's like $45 or something for this. But that'll last me for a long time. It's 3.7 pounds, 1.7 kilograms. And so what I'll do with this is I have a vacuum sealer. I'll pull it and put smaller containers, about a month's worth of approximately, it's a complete guess, about a month's worth of food in this vacuum bag and vacuum it and throw it in the freezer. And I haven't done it. I bought this recently and haven't had a chance to get some more vacuum bags to bag this all up. And then when you're done, you got a nice little container too that works really good for some things. So that's the way I do that. And of course, I just buy these big old containers of this on. Usually, I go onto Amazon and get that cheap as I can find it. It's all the same thing. Uh, but then you can make smaller portions and grind it as you need it. So it works out well. I guess you could grind it all at once with the Catfish Cave. Yeah, shady a pepper grinder is the way to go. I'm using a method for a long while. Awesome. Let's see. Only put a pinch. Uh, only put a punch in the pepper grinder. That way, I'm going to change food. I can't. Oh yeah, pinch. Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Right. Jeff patents are going this time. Fingers crossed. The female want to move from. You guys are talking here, so uh, can I hatch in a small container? I was just about to ask. Oh, yeah, you can hatch them right in a small container and then move them out of here into something bigger. So depending on if you only have like a pair of Gardneri and you're wanting to pull eggs and you're wanting to get some babies out of them, you can easily put them. Yeah, this has worked out really well for me. So with this, if you ever have this is a Bezos. These are it's like a almost like a Japanese dollar store. But I buy these containers. They're long and narrow, so this works really good. So I stick them on my racks. So I stick them on the rack. They don't take up much room right and left, but I get all the depth, all the surface area back to the back. So this works good. These are about I think they're a gallon. I think they're around a gallon a piece. There's not a lot of water in there, but if you put some plants in here, put it under a light so the plants grow. These work really well and they have a nice top on them, so if I don't jump out, I like these. You could even go as far as punching a hole in here and putting an airline down inside of one end. And they're long enough that you can have an airline on this end, and you're not going to disturb this end a whole lot. So you're not going to, make a lot of current or craziness with that air stone. You just want the air stone barely bubbling, just to break the top surface area so it doesn't get all nasty on top. And that works great. I use these. I have some up there. If I only have say if I have a species that or a whole a week that I pulled eggs and I only got 10 eggs and like 5 of them hatched out. I mean, I'm not going to tie up to one of the the big shoe boxes that I have in my fry grow out systems with the water running through and it's all hooked in a system just on 5 fry. It seems to be a waste of space. Well, I can do it in that. And normally what will happen is I'll get a little batch of them that'll kind of hatch out, by themselves, and the next batch will be a big batch. I'll stick in with the main fry grow out system. And then as they grow up, basically the ones that hatch first will be way up here. They'll be bigger, right? And then they grow fast. So these guys here are catching up. And eventually these guys slow down. The first batch slows down almost to stop. These catch up. So when they're almost the same size, you can put them into their bigger grow outs like I had behind here with the aquariums. So you can put different batches of them together that all get about the same size. It's like they go really fast at first, and they slow down for a while, and then they'll accelerate again, and then they're full grown. So nice little lagging time. You can put them all together, and they seem to do really well that way. So that way you kind of combine all spaces down. So you start out with a ton of small containers, and then as they grow, you end up start getting more and more into the bigger containers, and then eventually you have them into a 10-gallon or a 20-gallon tank that you're going to be selling out of, or the 5 gallons if that works out, whatever works for you. Have eggs from gold australs and Gardner. Very cool. I got a couple gold austral babies growing up here and have some eggs, and I've got 4 different strains of Gardneri. I've got the Massage, which we were talking about. I have the P82s, the Lafias, and then either the gold or oranges. I'm not sure what they were. Have to look to see what they're called, gold or oranges. I don't know if there's any difference. It might be the same thing. I don't know. Uh, I go through a few of the 3-pounders a year. Yeah, I end up going through a couple of them already last year for sure. I don't know how many I go through this year. I've got a lot more fish this year. Uh, well, Jeff, that's a lot of food. It is. It is. It's not the only food. Oh yeah, if you have any sizable fish room, you're breeding a lot of fish. You've got lots of different types of food that you're feeding stuff. I feed live stuff, and I need to get my earthworm uh, box going again. For some reason, I just quit messing with the earthworms. I don't understand why. I was doing good with the earthworms. But I like taking earthworms and cutting them up. Those really supercharge the the babies. I mean, man, it is awesome. Thanks so much, Mr. Powell. I can collect my eggs now. Uh, then when it makes me very happy, I was thinking I had to move the entire mop to the different aquarium. Oh no, you can do that. People do that. You can move the mop to a different aquarium, or you could take the parents out and put them in another aquarium, stuff like that. That all works. Nothing wrong with that. But It's just a different way of doing it. You can put it in a container like that. Works great. Go through the food. Yeah, it's good. It's quite a bit. I don't know. I go through a ton of food. What else? Oh, this is what I use. I bought these and they work okay for cutting up the the earthworms. You ever seen these scissors? I don't even know what they're for. I saw them somewhere and I was like, oh, that's awesome for cutting up earthworms. So yeah, it's almost sadistic looking thing, isn't it? But it makes quick work of cutting up earthworms. So that's just one of the little tools I have. I've got tons of little tricks and little things I've tried over the years. Some things work, some things don't. But those worked all right. You said clean when you're done. Put those over there. Okay, so once you got your fry hatching out, you takes about 14 days. Well, normally it takes 14 days. I've been having something weird going on, where I'll have a batch of eggs I'll pull for a week or 5 days. I have 30, 35 eggs, normal amount. Set them on the shelf with all the other eggs, and all of a sudden 2 weeks roll around, and I look, and they're not even developing at all. They still look like the day I dropped them in there. And it's weird because I'll have some other ones that are right behind them by a week, and they're already starting to turn black a little bit. Because usually with the babies inside, the fry kind of looks black. They'll start turning black in there, and it's like that's kind of weird. And then those will hatch out, the ones that were behind them a couple weeks, and then I'm waiting another batch will come through. They'll hatch out, and I'm like, what the heck's the deal with these eggs? And then you might get another batch that's like that. Well, it might take 2 months. I've had them like 2 whole months, 2.5 months, I think it was, before they started hatching. And then they hatched out and they were fine. Why that one batch was delayed that long, I have no idea. And it's happened several times to me. Sky and cutter receivers. Yeah, yeah. Whatever those are, man, they're pretty cool. So, anyhow, that's so once you get them, once they hatch out, you got you only got a day or two before you need to start feeding them. I mean, you really should feed them immediately. Start off with foods because they don't really have an egg sac. The Gardneri don't. So you need to start feeding them pretty much right off the bat. Feed them baby brine shrimp. You could do some of the powdered foods. Sometimes they'll take that, but they'll grow pretty quick. Within a couple months, they're good size, and then 3 months, they're sellable size. Like one's behind me. Let me see. The one you saw in that video, and that was like last week. Those were October 5th. The eggs were laid on October 5th. So about 14 days after that. So that's what about the 20th of October is when they hatched, roughly. So yeah, and then they're already October. Yeah, so that's October, November, December, January. That's like 3 months. Yeah, they're ready to go. So it doesn't take long. Sometimes if they grow really fast and you separate them out, you can get them the breeding size in just about 3 months. Yeah, it is possible. I wouldn't say it's something you want to do all the time, but it's definitely possible. I want to go back over here and show you something. Oh, here, let's do this. This is a female. There's kind of what a female looks like, and you can see the eggs in her. If you look real closely, you can see all these little dots, these white dots, those are eggs. So she's full of eggs. And that's one of my P82s. I'm not sure, can you see my, I don't know if you can see my mouse or not, but you can see the little white dots in there. But she's about ready to pop. In fact, she is. That was just taking a day or two ago. She's laying eggs. Yeah, here we go. This is Nigeria. And so this is kind of the area of Nigeria they're from, kind of up in here. You can see all the cool rivers and streams that flow through here. And this is what you're going to be, oops, wrong way. This is kind of some of the habitat they're found in. It's not just the forested streams. You can actually find these out in the savannas too, just out through the open savanna. But usually there's a lot of vegetation cover that's hanging over the edge of these things. So that's usually where you find them. Very cool fish. I usually keep my fish together too. Man, I am all over the place tonight. My ADD is kicking in big time. I'm just scatterbrained. I need to get this together like a PowerPoint format. Let's see here. 30 grams of the BB brine class with 4. I don't know how big a container I have. I tried for a while the aquarium co-ops. brine shrimp eggs. I like those a lot. They're expensive, but man, they are. They just I don't know. The eggs separate out way better than the ones I buy from. Uh, what's the brine shrimp direct? Is what I'm using. Those work, but the eggs just don't seem to hatch out. I mean, separate out nearly as well. But they're man, aquarium co-ops is a lot more expensive. I try to feed baby brine shrimp every day. Sometimes I get home or get home late and I can't get them going. So the way I do with baby brine shrimp, this is what I found. When I'm hatching brine shrimp out here at my house, for some reason, they don't hatch out in exactly 24 hours. It's usually more than 24 hours, maybe an hour, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours more. So what'll happen is if I get home 5:30 in the afternoon, I come running in here, make a batch of baby of brine shrimp. Okay, get them going, set them up. The next day it'll be 6:30 or 7 before they're ready to feed. Well, if I had one container, then I'm feeding out of that, replenishing it at like 7:30, 8 o'clock. Well, the next night it's later, so now we're talking like 10 o'clock. And then if I feed at 10 o'clock the next night, well, I can't feed them at midnight, so then I'm skipping a day to catch up. So what I do is I run two brine shrimp hatcheries at the same time, and I use those Zist brine shrimp hatcheries. And I found a 3D STL file so I can print. It's like a 3D printer. So I printed out a mount that's just mounted onto the wall, and then you hang the handle into that on the wall. So I got them hanging on the wall over here, and then have airlines hanging going both of them. So what I'll do as soon as I come home from work, I come in here get a batch of baby brine shrimp going, and then I'll go ahead and feed whatever I'm going to be doing. Whenever I get to the actual feeding the brine the hatch brine shrimp from the day before, it doesn't really matter when I get to those. It could be 8 o'clock at night if I get to them. I don't have to worry about getting a batch going right away. So I'll feed those whenever I want because I get the other batch brewing. So I come home the next night and do the same thing. I'll take the one that I fed from last night, get it re-going again. So always have some rolling. Hey, Scales, natural artist. Hey, welcome. Yeah, they are expensive. Let's see. Just as well, feed the hatch out over the whole day. 3, 4 feedings a day. Fed it all. Start another batch. Yeah, it's awesome if you can do that. I mean, I gotta go to work. I'm not here. I would love to be able to sit here and this be my full time job. If I could make as much as I'm making at work right now, that would be insane. That's probably not going to happen. But when I retire, I have a feeling this is going to go crazy. Let's see. Anybody else coming in? You can hatch baby brine in less than 16 hours. The 50-watt heater set on 80 degrees. I thought about putting a heater, but there's like a hole in there. I don't know if I could get a heater in there in those little systems I have, but it's it seems to be working for me. So if it's working, I'm not going to fix it. You know what I mean? It's a project working, and I do have the lights. I do have LED lights. I put the lights on the bottom, pointing straight up, right against it. So that's actually trying to heat that container up. That helps a little bit too. It adds just a little extra heat to it. The co-op eggs are awesome. I just switched over. Yeah, I mean they work great. It just they're kind of expensive. If you have a big fish room and you're really pumping them out, it gets it's I think it's probably worth double the price, but they are good. I love them. My hatch takes 30 hours in the basement. It's chilly, but I get a good hatch rate. And hey, if it's working for you, there you go. Yeah. So yeah, if it's working for you, use it. It's not a big deal. And yes, the baby brine should lose fire as 12 hours after hatching. Yeah. So you do need to use them within that first day. Whenever I get home, the first few hours. If I have to, if I really get behind and I just can't feed anything that night, something comes up and I can't feed, I will very next morning, I will feed those off. So yeah, they're probably losing a little nutritional value, but I figured it's probably still better than using powdered food or whatever. Plus, I need to get them out of there, do something with them, so there's dumping them down the drain, wasting them. So that seemed to work. Seemed to work for me. I don't make much, Mr. Powell, but I wouldn't change a thing. Yeah, this is awesome. I've figured out how to actually make this a little bit profitable. I can cover all my costs and make a little bit of money, but it's if you were to take my time and divide it up for into whatever was left over from all the overhead, I would be making pennies an hour. I mean, it would be ridiculous. But that's not why I do it to make a lot of money. This is just fun. I really enjoy it. There's something about picking eggs. I absolutely enjoy picking eggs. So the annual fish and any of the soil spawners are not nearly as fun for me because I don't get to pick the eggs. Uh, and then I don't know, just the whole thing. Watching the the fry grow up and color up. When they're coloring up, it's just something about that that just I don't know. I love watching that whole process. So this whole thing has just sucked me in. I am in so deep I can't get out now. I was counting a day or two ago, and I have nearly 140 containers that have fish in them. That's everything from little cups or whatever kind of those little containers I've shown, long ones, all the way up to my 150-gallon aquarium. That's anything that's got fish in it, not eggs, but fish. I've counted, and I just added some more back here, so we'll see. Let's see here. Oh, I missed the brine shrimp direct. Bite me. Internet is horrible. But my internet's okay. The large amount, I definitely agree with the pricey. We order all our uh, baby brine shrimp eggs from the fish room for the fish room from Brine Shrimp Direct. Yeah, that's what I do now. I switched over, and man, I don't really like the quality. It's not, I get the best quality they have too, but uh, every 4 months, I'm trying to cover my fish room cost. We have 240 tanks for growing fry at AFD before the collapse. Oh, had okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. So right now, I think once I get this rack done, I think I'm done adding racks and adding tanks. Now I'll probably add small little containers that I could put it fry into, once in a while. But I think this is where I'm gonna start slowing down a little bit, and I need to get finish up my air rack, my air system in this room. I'm still contemplating because I have about, I guess there's probably a little more than half of everything's in this room. But I have in my living room, I've got 3 racks out there and multiple large tanks. Uh, so it would be really nice to get air out there, but it's a long way. It's the opposite end of the house from where those tanks are at. So I have to figure out how to get the air from here to there, and I got a vaulted ceiling. So I really wouldn't be able to go through the house. That means I have to go, and I've got a concrete, I got a concrete pad, so I don't have a pier and beam to go under the house. So I'd have to go through the attic. And during the winter and during the summer, the heating and cooling in the attic would probably heat that air up or cool the air off and cause me problems. That's what I'm worried about. And it wouldn't be here in Texas, especially in the wintertime. It was been cold. It didn't get above freezing for like 80 some hours here last week, but yet next week it's going to be in the 60s every day. So the temperatures are all over the place. So I've got an airline running through the attic. It's going to be subject to those temperatures. I can insulate it, but then it's like, okay, that adds a lot of cost, a lot of work, and is it really going to be worth it? So I don't know. I might just get a small little unit for out there and just plumb it in. So I don't know. There's a lot of options, but I don't know what I'm going to do. I love the Petco tank sale going on for 50% off. Yeah, that's what I well, that's when I went up to help my friend out. I stopped by the first fish local, the LFS, but while I was there, I went kind of a couple blocks over and went to Petco and bought 2 more aquariums for up here. One of these extra aquariums is probably going to be used for shows or whatever, so it's going to take. I'll probably pick one of the new ones. And I'll stick the other one up there and fill those 2 up. But it's been cold, it's been rainy, and I think today was in the low 40s and rain. So I have to get the substrate, which I use decomposed granite. I got to get that cleaned out. So that's something I really need to do outside when it's 40 degrees and raining. I'm not going to be rinsing out a whole lot of substrate right now. And I've got a couple extra tanks over here that are empty, so I have stuff to move my fry into if I need to. It's not a problem. But I do always like to have a couple of tanks had fish in them, been up and running for a while, pulled everything out of it, is leave those tanks just for emergencies, or all of a sudden you realize your fry are growing faster than you thought. You need a place to put them. Your friend just, hey, I got to get rid of some of these fish. They're really cool here. You want them? You're going, oh, I've been looking for those for a long time. Now you got a place to put them. So I always have spare tanks that are just ready to go at a moment's notice. Something else is kind of interesting that all the tanks behind me, every single one of those, I put fish in. Oh, there's one crammed down the bottom. It's got water in it. I've never put any fish in it yet. It's still waiting. But everything else on this whole rack that's got water and fish in it, I immediately put the fish in it after I filled it full of water. So the way I do it is I put the decomposed granite in there, put some plants in there. Those are all that is a little bit of hornwort, but almost all of it is guppy grass. That's from locally sourced. I found it from a creek down here, so it loves my water. It does great. Put that in the tank. Then I went and got some of my fryer oil in shoe boxes, and there's mold builds up in the bottom, and there's some snails always in there to help clean up anything that's overfed. And there's usually some plants in there. I usually have some moss or some kind of the guppy grass in there, something in there. So what I'll do is I'll take that whole container and pour off most of the water. I'll run it through the filter that's in the back of those whole containers, and then I pour the fish and the mold and all the snails right into that tank. Now I've got a tank, it's a 5-gallon tank, and you've got a bunch of little tiny fish in there, so your bio load is very low. And I poured a lot of that mold in there too, so that is going to be added to the bio load. It's going to really help. So, and I've never had a problem with any of those tanks. And in fact, only one tank directly behind me here in the middle, one right there behind me, is the only tank that I've had to do any cleaning on the glass at all. I've had zero algae buildup at all. Nothing. Not a mark on them. That one had a little bit of green spot algae started forming on the front of it. And I think it's because it's in the dead center. So I think it's getting all the light, and it might be getting some ambient light or something. It might be a little bit of a light issue in that tank. That's all I can think of. Let's see. Scales. What collapsed? The 2008 housing market? I assumed this business collapse is what I would assume, but I didn't know. But, see what he says. But so that's kind of the way I set these things up. And man, yeah, it was just kind of weird, that one tank. And I have 3 more racks out in the living room, kind of like this rack. They're a little different style, but basically set the same way with similar lights. Some of them have these lights and some have different lights, but none of those I've had algae issues in at all either from day one. I had algae issues in a couple of them only because there was a window behind it, and I didn't realize it, and there's a big porch behind it. So during the summertime, when the sun was off to the side, the light never came through that window. But as the earth turns and rotates and moves around, the angle changed. So I had some light coming right in and hitting that tank storing it down. I couldn't figure out why I was getting brown algae and some other algae growing. Then I realized, oh, first thing in the morning, it's getting direct sunlight, and that's throwing everything off. So all I had to do was just, close that window up better. Close the blinds up a little better. I think I put paper behind it or something to keep that from hitting it, but did that, went away. So Jeff Kane, the investment partner, decided he was going to do something his way. We decided, and so he added salt water and took out the breeding and added common stuff, and take over half the tanks, downsize the plant. Oh man, plant selection and cut out the high end products like ADA and oh man, I got left and started, and the store quickly collapsed. Oh, that's a bummer. Oh well. I thought about getting my own. Oh, excuse me. That didn't work out the way I wanted it. Thought about getting a little fish store, but that sounds like way too much hassle. Man, I plan on sticking with what I'm doing right now. If you're in the area, I don't know if Tommy's still here or not, but there is the local fish club is putting on an expo in March. What is that? March. Let's look at the date real quick. It's just a 1-day show, and it's on March 9th. That's going to be a new location that's over in Irving, Texas, by the airport, kind of northeast of the airport. Hello, Scotty. Quite I'm just about done. You barely snuck in there. So that's so that'd be a fun thing. I should have a lot of killifish out there. I've got some stuff coloring up, like those Gardneri will be there. I've got some of the Gardneri golds I should have there. I don't know, there's a bunch of stuff. I can't remember all the stuff, but there's I should have quite a bit. So that should be fun. If anybody's here, stop by and say hi. Well, I'm getting kind of tired.